Welcome to the 2 Minute Drill. I'm Jim Monahan along with that guy, Chris Swendeman. And Swendeman, a couple of topics tonight that we want to get to. And let's start with two teams that are going in completely opposite directions and yet the same direction at the same time. And that would be your Boston Red Sox and your New York Mets.
Yeah, what they both have in common is both being in last place in their respective divisions.
Hmm.
But one just swept a series from the team that was in first place at the start of the series, and the other one just continues to free fall. And that would be your New York Metropolitans.
Indeed. And let me start by saying, and I'm a Red Sox fan, you know it, I've got the hat on, the whole thing, which is really just to tweak you. But let's be honest.
Of course.
The four-game sweep this past weekend is a bump in the road for the Yankees. That's all it is. A month from now, you'll probably not remember any of the scores. The Red Sox will probably still be in last place as they approach the trade deadline. And the Mets, well, that's a whole disaster of another story. Let's stay with Red Sox Yankees to start with, and a couple of things that are going on with the team. Obviously, they're not hitting, and obviously, a lot of that is due to Aaron Judge. But I think there were two other things going on here. One is Ben Rice. Now, I don't know if it's a matter of he doesn't have Judge behind him to protect him anymore, or if pitchers are starting to figure him out. I do know the Yankees have moved him around a little bit. He'll bat second for the most part.
Right.
Maybe once in a while they'll bat him first. He's had Rosario and Dominguez behind him in the batting order, and neither one of those two are going to make anybody forget about Aaron Judge. So you can obviously pitch around him a little bit, but clearly I also think that some of the pitchers have started to figure him out. And the other thing that's going on, and I don't understand this, since the return of Anthony Volpe, we were told that Jose Caballero was the Yankee shortstop.
Correct.
Since that time, which was what, mid-May, Caballero has played six different positions. I mean, look, you want to have a guy who's athletic and can play multiple positions. He's played six different positions. Do you think it might be affecting his batting? Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Just a bit. One of the things that Caballero said at the start of the year, which I found interesting and rings even more true now, is the fact that he kept saying he was very appreciative of the fact he was going to have a steady position. He wasn't going to be the utility guy like he was in Tampa before he came over in the trade last year. And now that he has been bounced around, you see his hitting has dipped. And it's clearly, taking a toll on him playing the different positions and not being comfortable every day because he's not sure. Is he going to be in the outfield? Is he going to be second base? Is he going to be shortstop? Is he going to be third base? It's like that old Bugs Bunny cartoon. Bugs Bunny second base, Bugs Bunny third base, Bugs Bunny. And, let the guy play one position. I mean, it's great to have that versatility, like you were saying, but I think he needs to have a spot. And you know what? If you're so hell-bent on getting Volpe to play short, maybe give Mr. Chisholm a couple nights off and let Caballero play second, because Jazz isn't helping anybody right now. And you know what? At least I think Caballero has a great glove and he plays a smart infield. Jazz right now is just bringing nothing to the table for me.
Since the return of Anthony Volpe and the just musical chairs of where do we play Caballero,
Right.
Caballero's batting average has dropped 14 points. His on base percentage has dropped 14 points, and his OPS has dropped about 18 points. I don't think it's a coincidence. I
No,
really don't. And you
no.
can do lots of things with numbers. I get it. And the
Right.
entire team is going through a slump. You've seen that over the past four games against the Red Sox. And as we record this on Monday night, they're struggling. They have one hit as of right now against the Detroit Tigers. So obviously the offense is struggling a little bit. But I think there is a direct correlation between asking a guy to play six different
Yeah.
positions over the course of 6 weeks and his offensive performance.
It absolutely is because now he's always thinking about fielding his position and all the things that go along with it versus an everyday, natural fit when you're playing the same position. And that's probably taken away from him being able to focus on his hitting more. So I definitely think it's been in play. And sadly, it's happened for a lot of the bats right now. The bats are going cold. And what has held the Yankees in a lot of the games early on was everybody was talking about their pitching. Well, now their pitching has gotten a few hiccups. I'm looking at you, Ryan Weathers, and Garrett Cole, but Garrett Cole still gets a pass from me because he has been coming back, from the injury and getting himself set. So I think Cole's going to take a little bit to catch up to speed, but you're missing Max Fried. That was going to be a huge, hole in the rotation. And, I mean, Will Warren has been nice, but he's not an ace. Um, you know, and Schlittler is the guy right now, that steady force. And but even Caleb Durbin from the Red Sox got to him the other day. So he's had some small chinks in the armor, but I think you really, what has been the strength for the Yankees is now, having a little dent in that armor as well.
I got a text from a friend of mine who congratulated me on the Red Sox sweeping the Yankees over the weekend. I said, "Well, thank you, but I didn't have anything to do with it. I had zero to do with it." And again, a month from now, we're going to look
Right.
at that series and it's going to be a blip on the screen. And the Red Sox are either going to be in last place or next to last. Thank you to the Baltimore Orioles. And they'll be looking to sell. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. If Aroldis Chapman is not in another team's uniform by the trade deadline, I will be absolutely astounded because this team is going nowhere and they can get some pieces for him for certain. My concern, and we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, is who's making this decision. And if it's Craig
Right.
Breslow, I have zero confidence in him getting the right pieces back. And by the same term, let's go over to the Mets, who just fired Carlos Mendoza. And
Wait, hold on.
obviously,
I bought a sign for this. Hold on. We got to stop.
What does it say, Monahan? No, you don't want me.
Monahan for next New York Mets manager.
No, I'm a high school assistant coach. You don't want me anywhere near.
Well, that'd be great because the Mets are like a high school team right now, so you'd fit right in. No?
There's a lot of things going on, obviously. David Stearns is the one who needs to take the
Yes.
heat, not Carlos Mendoza. Although we have spoken about this time and again, is Mendoza in over his head? Is he able to rally the troops the way he needs to?
Right.
Just before he got fired, there was a lot of talk from people who are around that team saying that there was no life in that clubhouse. There were no players only meetings. Hey, let's rally the troops. There was nothing along those lines. And some of that falls on team leadership, and some of that falls on the manager.
Right.
So they've brought in a guy from the front office, Andy Green, who had a
Mhm.
4 or 5 year playing career. And they've
Right.
already told Green, don't consider this an audition because we're going to get a real manager and send you back into the scouting department. So,
Yeah.
don't don't get too comfortable in the manager's office, Andy, because you're not going to be there very long.
Yeah. And I mean, this is for me, them letting Mendoza go was, we've been saying it all, too little, too late. And it was more of a mercy killing than anything. I mean, that poor guy. Towards the last couple of press conferences he had, he just looked like, just repeating the same things. We're trying, I'm seeing some good things, all the catchphrases managers use. Um, how many excuses can you make for a team that is, I mean, severely underachieved, and that's probably an understatement. At some point, you just had to do this. But if they would have done it when another team in their division decided to make a managerial change, maybe they'd be better off right now. Because the Phillies, last time I checked, 47 and 37 and 3 games back, where the Mets are 15 games back. Now, when the Phillies were right there with the Mets near the bottom of the NL East when they were having their troubles. They made the managerial change. They brought in Don Mattingly, and look what they're doing. Mets, you had that window, and everybody was talking about maybe Mendoza's not the right fit for this team. Maybe they need to make a change. Maybe when Alex Cora became available, maybe they should talk to Alex Cora. And even if they didn't get Cora, bring new life into the team. But it was just too late to do it in June. I'm sorry.
One of the advantages that the Phillies had was a better overall roster, and guys are
True.
starting to hit again. Schwarber is hitting bombs
Right.
every night, it seems. Harper
Harper
has
looks
woken up.
great.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they had better pieces, let's face it. And with regard to the Phillies, you know that Dave Dombrowski, the head of baseball ops down there, is going to make at least one, if not two big moves as they go down and get closer to the trade deadline. You know that that's coming because they can smell it. They can see that Mattingly has, gotten the ship on an even keel, and it's a player or two away from making a serious deep run into the playoffs.
Absolutely. And I mean, the Mets are just poorly constructed. I mean, we can agree on that for sure. David Stearns, brought in a lot of guys on these cute 1 year deals, Bichette, Semyon, Polanco, and none of them have worked out at all. And the funny thing was, the Phillies are probably laughing all the way to the bank right now because they were the ones that were trying to get Bichette to a 7, 8 year deal, and the Mets came in with more money on the average value. And gave him a bigger short-term deal, and he took it. Phillies are probably laughing all the way to the bank right now, thanking the Mets for taking him because he does not look good. Semyon's hurt again. Polanco's been hurt. And the players that kind of were that go get him in the locker room, that voice of the locker room, were all jettisoned off at the end of last year. And I think the Mets are just going to be these huge sellers by the trade deadline.
And you and I were talking before we came on the air before we started this evening. Both the Red Sox and the Mets being sellers. The Red Sox, I think, have far more pieces that they can use to rebuild. Again, I have
Mhm.
no faith in Craig Breslow. I don't know what the Mets have that they could dangle out there and say, "Hey, look what we have for you." And again,
I
it's
think,
David Stearns.
yeah.
If he's the guy making those decisions, Chris, if I'm a
No.
Met fan, I'm really scared about that.
Well, I mean, you do have some people, pitching is always a need at the trade deadline. So you look at guys like Freddie Peralta, who I think could bring back some value for a team in the playoff hunt. I think Clay Holmes could bring, if he comes back healthy, could bring some value. Luke Weaver could bring some value for a team in need of bullpen help. I think they have AJ Minter as well that could bring back some, and then you have a couple of bats that might bring some value, but I think the Red Sox with somebody like Aroldis Chapman are going to lead, are going to dominate the market towards the trade deadline for sure.
And Jaron Duran as well. We've talked about this a
That's
couple of weeks
right.
ago.
That's right.
I'm convinced that he'll be in a different uniform come the trade deadline. So, okay, I'll gloat a little bit with the 4 game sweep over the weekend. But again, a month from now, Yankee fans are going to look and say, oh, yeah, we lost that. Yeah, well, look where we are.
Right.
And you guys are still in last place. So let me have my 4 game sweep. And
Enjoy
you can
that.
have a deep run into the playoffs as a Yankee fan. And that's the 2 minute drill for another week. If you like what we do, tell a friend. If you hate what we do, tell an enemy. Just tell somebody. Like, subscribe, comment. We love to get your comments. And we will talk to you next week.
You got it, Jim. Be well.